How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Georgiman and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about Spice and Wolf episode 23. So, what do you think about this week's episode? To be completely frank, I thought this week's episode was great. I thought he did a great job at setting up the tension and the mystery surrounding this whole, poison of somebody from the Ember town, and how that's affecting, the village that, Lawrence and them are currently on, and how they're pretty much have to get out of there as soon as possible because now they're the main accomplices and the main targets for the entire village. So they want to obviously blame them and frame them, so it's not looking good for them. And pretty much this episode just consists about how they're going to go about it, as well as you get a great moment involving Hollow and Lawrence that I'll talk to about later. Now, before I go any further with this week's episode, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my Spice and Wolf, as well as all my anime and manga content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's episode. So, right off the get-go, this week's episode starts off where we see where we left off last, and which is pretty much the villagers, blaming Lawrence and Hollow about, the poison of the weed, because they themselves were bringing weed into the town. And we see that pretty much everybody's pointing fingers at him, and pretty much also at Elsa, because they're like, oh, she's also part of it. It's all her fault. Father Franz had such a good deals with the, with Emberk and all that. Now it's all crumbling because of her. She's a woman. She doesn't know anything she's doing. Just typical misogynistic behavior when they're just, spewing nonsense at her, And pretty much what happens is the elder's like, hey, stop. Listen, cut it out, guys. We don't know if he's not, whether he's guilty or not. And we see that pretty much, the elder steps in and he's like, hey, Lawrence, you come with me to my house and we'll talk over there. So as Lawrence goes to the elder's house, then they sit down and have a conversation. And this conversation pretty much comes down to, the elder being like, hey, listen, I believe, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Explain yourself why might have been the cause for the poison. And, Lawrence just talks about how there's this thing called the hellish endeavor or something like that. I forget the exact name, but it's pretty much saying sometimes when crops get mixed in, it might affect the entire crop, not just one field of wheat, but the entire, growing crops. So it might have been just been a miscalculation on their behalf, something along those lines, just bad luck, and that might have ended up costing, the person's life. It's not too strange in retrospect. That's what Lawrence is saying. And what happens is he's explaining to the others, like, hey, listen, now, the Ember has a reason to try to heckle you guys. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he pretty much explains how, they're probably going to want to buy the village in credit, and he's going to, they're going to be screwed over in the future because let's say they don't have enough wheat this time around to, purchase for the next time they have to grow their crops. Then everything's going to crumble because, next time they gotta, they're going to make up for what they didn't do this time around, and so forward to the point where, the village will eventually be run down and Emberk will be able to reclaim it. At least that was my understanding of the situation. As all that continues, you see the elder being like, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll let you escape. I'll find a way for you to get out of here because they're probably going to all want to blame you to, take the burn. I'll find a way for you to escape. However, in exchange, you gotta, we'll make you give us some money. It's like, okay, but it won't be a free thing. And pretty much what happens after that, Lawrence goes to talk to Elsa, and he's, as soon as they're getting in there, Evan is like, no, I want to go in there too. And, Lawrence gives him his pouch of money. He's like, listen, if any other merchant would have lost this amount of money, they would cry. Okay, so I trust you to keep it and take good care of it until, this whole conversation's done with Elsa, Evan. It's like, okay, fair enough. So as they're talking, Elsa's like, okay, what are we going to do? What is your plan? It's like, oh, we're going to run away. But I want to know if you guys are down to run away with us as well. Because he's like, how you guys going to run away? Even if you go in horse, you'll get caught. It's like, oh, it's okay. I got somebody. And he's like talking about Hollow. And he's like, well, if you want to get out of here, let us know. And I'm trying to help you guys. And pretty much Lawrence, as he's leaving, or as I think Elsa points out, like, wait, I think someone's hearing us. And who's that somebody hearing them? It's Evan. Evan was being super nosy. And he was just very funny. Evan's like, oh, and she's like, hey, how about you make yourself useful and go get that book that Hollow was looking for, because that's the book that they want to read before they get out of here. So, as Evan goes and gets the book, he eventually gives it to Hollow, and then Hollow just runs to pretty much the library, the secret library section of the church. And she's with Lawrence, and she's like, hey, I want to read about myself. Is that okay? And it's like, yeah. It's like, by the way, what if I ripped every single page because I'm that mad? It's like, please don't do that. Lawrence is just, please don't do that, man. And she's like, okay, fair enough. And as Lawrence lets her read the book by herself because that's what she asked, he goes back to talk to Elsa, and as he opens the door, guess what? He walks into some more gossip because we see Evan being like, "I'll protect you no matter what," Elsa. Like, he's holding her hand. There's obviously a relationship between these two, at least in the sense that they probably both like each other, but I don't know if they both have committed to it just yet, or maybe they're just crushing on each other. The point is they have feelings for each other, and it's pretty obvious, after this point. And as that's happening, we see that, eventually Lawrence is like, "Hey, Evan, can you give us some time?" And, that's where Elsa and himself talk. And that's why he explains, like I said, the whole cropping and how they're going to get the credit and all this, how the village is going to get screwed over pretty much by this whole concept of, there won't be enough to grow for next year's season and the next one and the next one after. It's going to keep piling up until Ember decides to take over. And we see that pretty much Lawrence is just like, "Okay, well, think about it, Elsa. If you want to join us, I'm more than down to make you guys come with us." And we see that going after that is that Lawrence, he goes and catches up with Hollow once again, and he's just asking like, "Hey, how did everything go?" Like, and as she's like, "You can read the book, go ahead." And he's reading the book, and the book just explains what we all had known from the beginning. It's like the despair just destroys the village. And from Hollow's understanding as she read the story is that thankfully all her friends were able to escape, at least from the destruction of Yuitsu. And we see that after that, Lawrence is just like, "Hey, are you okay?" And Hollow's like, "I'm fine, don't worry about it. I kind of figured something like this. I'm not gonna be crying about it, but thank you for all this struggle about getting this book, and all the time that I costed you to get here and up to this point and everything. I just appreciate everything you've done." And Lawrence is like, "It's okay, I got it." And it's a sweet, tender moment between these two. They're holding each other, like at least Hollow's holding his arm. And as they start coming closer to the church, they meet up with Elsa and Evan. And this is where a big section of the episode takes place, where we see towards the ending of the episode that Elsa and Evan are talking. And throughout the episode they had been like, "Oh, should we escape, should we not?" And pretty much it comes down to them being like, "Yeah, let's go." Because Lawrence is just like, "Listen, you guys can get out of here, create a new life for yourselves, and go over there and be free. Like, no longer have to be appointed by all these villagers and be subjected to hate and all that. You can start fresh, and at least you'll have each other and each other's company. You might lose everything you have right now, but you'll gain much more in the future." And it's something that was very symbolic, as in Hollow and Lawrence, their relationship once they got together. Maybe Lawrence has lost some profit margins, since he has to feed two mouths now. However, he's gained so much more, and obviously one of those things is love, and just the affection he has towards Hollow, a companion. And how we end the episode is that as she's like, "Okay, well, how are we gonna escape?" And then that's where she takes the cloak off. Hollow is like, "Listen," because Evan didn't know that, and neither did the lady from the one that owns the pub. She's like, "You guys are gonna be in my bag, just hold on tight, because I'm gonna be turning into a wolf and we're gonna escape out of here." And she's like, "Oh wow, I believe in fairy tales now." And we see that pretty much as they go down there, because she's like, "How are we gonna escape?" It's like, and then Elsa tells them that there's like a secret passage underneath of the church in which they go, because we see that some villagers are knocking at the church. There's no time to waste here. So they go downstairs. Eventually Lawrence is able to crack open the secret passage, and the episode ends where they're going to start heading towards that secret passage and get their way out of this town. And going forward, I don't know what's going to happen, because like I said before in my other reviews, I don't know anything that goes down in this section of the story, because I only saw the original anime. And now at this point in the anime, in this new remake, this is new content that was never adapted in the original. So I'm going in this blindly, spoiler free. So I don't know what's bound to happen. I don't know what plot twists are going to go down, but all I know is that I've been enjoying this show so much, and it's very sad to know that there's only 2 episodes more after this. So it's gonna be really sad seeing goodbye to Hollow and Lawrence soon. But after all, this episode has been fantastic, and I can't wait to see what goes down in the next one. So with all that being said, what did you guys think about this week's episode? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Spice and Wolf, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.